Tick tock, tick tock. Hello and welcome to another English podcast with Paul. I'm your host, Paul, and as always, unedited, unscripted, natural native conversation. Okay, I've got some notes to try and look professional, and today we're looking at smartwatches. Smartwatch. Right. Now, smartwatches have been around for a little while. I had one myself, probably about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe no longer than that. Longer than that. Yes, I would say 9 years ago. I had a Pebble smartwatch, one of the first smartwatches that come out that was any good, and it connected to your phone. Now, the usability was limited. What could I do with my Pebble? Change the faces on it. Ooh, change the face on your watch. Wow. But it was what they call like liquid ink. It's, like a bit like a Kindle. It was like that very good black and white ink, and so the battery lasted for like a week. It was really good. I can't remember what else I could do with it. It obviously connected to the phone, connected to my phone, so I could answer a call, decline a call. I think I could turn the volume up and down on my music that I would be listening to, and a few basic functions like that. Like I said, the functionality was limited. And then after I had that Pebble, I think a year later I had, right, what was this called? I'm going to try and get it right. A Garmin HR Plus. And so this Garmin was very slim, not like a lot of your. It was very much like a pedometer watch. Those very slim ones. There's a really famous brand now, and I can't think of it. And again, it had limited functionality. The main purpose of the watch that I got this time, other than telling the time, was to be able to answer and decline phone calls. So if I was driving, I could have a quick glance without having to get my mobile phone out of my pocket. Or if I was at work, I could see if it was somebody important, and I could just decline it. Again, music, that kind of thing. But it tracked my steps. I did a job for many years where I'm sat on my bum. And even now I work and I'm sitting on my bum. So I'm very aware that my waistline is expanding and my steps and activity levels are reducing. So I'm quite invested in every now and then I get a purge, and I want to be more healthy and get more steps in, because that's the easiest exercise that anybody can do. And I've spoken about this before, that there's no excuse why you can't go for a walk at some time in your day to try and burn some calories and get some exercise in. So steps are a very quick and easy way of trying to feel a little bit more healthy. So this other watch I had, like I said, it was very slim again, limited functionality. And I had that one for nearly 2 years, I think, before the strap broke. And the strap was all encompassing with the watch. Again, it was a Garmin, so we had the Garmin app, and it was pretty good quality. It measured how far I went, it told me how many steps I went, it had a little tracker on it, and because it was this HR Plus, I think it was like heart rate monitor. It could track my heart rate through my pulse. It had like a little green light on the back of the watch, and I think it pulsed to be able to see my veins or blood vessels or whatever. So that is another reason why I purchased that watch. And I did make goals and challenges to try and get up to, I think it was your average of 10,000 steps. And on some days I got 20,000 steps because I had a big break in the middle of the day. So I like that watch. And I'm thinking of getting another one, actually. If you can think of a better watch for me to get, put it down in the comments. So I've had a couple of smartwatches and I like them, but I don't want this big, bulky, small phone on my wrist. Those really big ones. Otherwise, I'm just going to get a watch. I don't want to be looking at my contacts or doing anything with this tiny little screen. It's fine for telling the time and tracking your steps, or even a little buzzer going, bzz, you need to get up and walk. And I think that functionality was on that HR Plus. So that was good. Right, so they've come a long way. Smartphones have come a long way since that time, those 7 years for the first one, maybe 8 years for the first one, and then 6 years for the one after that. Smartwatches do more than just tell the time nowadays. They can track your steps, your sleep. Yeah, that HR one did my sleep, and loads more. Okay, Parkinson's disease. This is why I got notes, see? That's why I got notes. I did some research. Parkinson's disease is difficult to detect because there are no tests, and the symptoms can be easily mistaken for something else. Parkinson's is a degenerative disease that affects the brain, causes involuntary shaking and slow body movement. So it's really hard to see when that's creeping up on you, Parkinson's disease. And the reason I mention this is because it was in a recent article that I read. Dementia research in the UK have used data that track people's movement from 10,000 smartwatch users and compared them to the data of people who already had the disease. With their analysis, researchers were able to correctly identify people who had a recent diagnosis and those in early stages of Parkinson's disease. For some people, the diagnosis can take several years. So imagine, and nobody wants to have these diseases, obviously, but imagine if you were able to get an early diagnosis. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years early with this diagnosis, you could really have an opportunity to do a lot more with your life, get your affairs in order, and maybe even put some things in place, like move to a smaller house or things like that to help your future. So, and it's amazing just from the research of these watches, because like I said, one of the clear indicators of Parkinson's is slowing body movement. All right. I said about that. There are thousands of stories of smart devices saving lives. Right. So yeah, I've seen a lot of stories, like people falling over and traffic accidents. You just got to look on the internet, especially on YouTube, and you'll see stories of smartwatches saving people's lives. Now, here is a list of just some of the things they can do now. I think there might be a couple more, but these are the most prominent and interesting points of what they can do now. So they can detect a sedentary, so this is how they can save your lives by some of this. Detect a sedentary lifestyle, sleep apnea, respiratory issues, stress, diabetes, car collision, a fall, glucose levels, which might be the same as the other one, blood oxygen, emergency SOS, ECG, which is the same as this arterial fibrillation. And now apparently even doctors are saying it's not better than having a doctor, obviously, but it gives a really good holistic overview and to monitor key indicators. All right, so you can have a button that you press or hold or that pops up to press to call emergency services. Obviously as well, you can have a lot of your own personal medical information saved on your watch. Whether or not you're get anaphylactic shock, maybe from peanuts or shellfish, or wasp and bee stings, that kind of thing. So having that information for the emergency services can save your life. There was a story of a woman that went to the doctors and said, my watch keeps telling me I'm having a heart attack, this arterial defibrillation. And they put an ECG on her and they checked and they said, yeah, you are. So that was a really big thing to be able to know that she's having that, and so she could change her lifestyle, and she was able to stop herself from having a real full-on heart attack by having this news and this information in advance. So that again is helped save her life. You can have your phone, your watch set to fall detection. For elderly people that fall over, often they break a hip because their bones are fragile as they get later on in years. And this has helped many people. Falling detection goes to your phone, to your watch, which then goes to your phone, and that can be sent to those people that, especially if you bang your head, those people that are there to support you. There's also car crash detection when the what's it called? The accelerometer within your phone and your watch stops really sudden, like from mimicking an impact or a collision. This is able to be detected by your watch and your phone nowadays. And that could then make your phone call the emergency services even if you're unconscious. I think you can have it set that if that happens and you do not respond within a set length of time, it will call the emergency services, giving your location and other critical information. Like, for example, your blood group can be critical. What else? Well, I said like the ECG monitor built into the watch now. That's incredible. So not just your heart rate from the old smartwatches that I had, but now really advanced like a ECG, electrocardiograph, something like that, can monitor your stress and your heart levels, and you can see it. Well, back in the day, we used to, if you went jogging or something, you used to see people with a band, a strap around their chest, and that was to have a monitor to measure your heart rate. And runners would do this regularly just to keep within the zone of whatever they wanted to do, like 82% of their efficiency level or their maximum, so they can sustain not just for their running, but if they wanted to lose weight or whatever their goals were. So that ECG was very, very helpful for runners and other athletes that are, or people that are wanting to track and measure their body stats, things like that. Now, this one's very interesting, diabetes. So I think it's down to glucose levels. Your phone is now able to, your watch is now able to detect that within your arm, within your wrist. It's amazing, amazing. And then, like I said, blood oxygen levels and respiratory issues. Respiratory issues. How does your watch monitor that? Is that all to do with your heart rate and detecting that? And obviously your sleep. It can detect your sleeping, your sleep patterns, and now then it's moved on to sleep apnea, where you forget to breathe when you're sleeping. Before, people normally wear masks that have sleep apnea. It goes on like that, and it goes around like an elastic band around the head, and it goes to a machine that keep pumping oxygen into your lungs while you're asleep. But if your watch is able to detect that now, instead of 6 months later when you have maybe a small heart attack because you haven't breathed because of sleep apnea, then this watch is saving your life. So, like I said, car collisions, sleep apnea, sedentary lifestyle, atrial defibrillation, respiratory, ECG. But there is so much now that your watch can do, and falling and crash detection. So many things your watch can do now. And that data that you can save, you can modify your lifestyle to fit, to make yourself better, or to improve your performance as an athlete or just as an every Joe. Even something like sedentary lifestyle. They say when you slow down, your body slows down, and so you become less and less fit and healthy, and therefore less mobile. And once you become less mobile, you're at a higher risk of falling over and breaking a hip. And once that happens, you're on a slow spiral, breaking the hips are a really big thing, a big problem for elderly people. And having maybe a buzzer or an alarm on your watch to say, bzz, you sat still now for 2 hours, time to get up and move, is really, really good, because, you know, we are a lot more forgetful as we get older. As you can tell from this video, I've forgotten the next line. So all in all, doctors say it's a really good holistic overview, but it can't replace a doctor. All right, so if you're not feeling well, you should see your doctor, see a GP, general practitioner. All right. So, are you a fool not to have one? Should you buy one for your grandma? What's the next disease you can detect from a watch? Now, it's going to a whole new level when you put a brain transplant in your head, you know, regards to Neuralink and Elon Musk. But you can get something put in your arm now, an electrical device actually into your arm, and then that sends Bluetooth to your phone to give you more accurate details of whatever it is. I think it's blood sugar levels and insulin levels and things like this. So let me know in the comments, do you have a smartwatch? Do you use it for health? Where do you draw the line at your data? Now, who gets all this data? Does Google and Samsung and Apple get all this data of your health and now suggest and offer you advertising maybe aspirin, or maybe advertising sleep apnea? Where's this going next? You know, so what would you like your watch to be able to tell you? Whether you've got a headache coming? Because you can get an app to tell you how much you need to hydrate and when you should get another glass of water or something else. On like MyFitnessPal, it can count your calories. You just scan the code on the back of the food product. You can type in whether you've eaten a raw banana. I say raw, just a banana. Why is it raw? But you can put it in. You can put all this information, water, exercise, sleep, all these things into MyFitnessPal. You can monitor your calories and help you lose weight. So if you have MyFitnessPal or Google Fit or Apple Fit and all these health fitness tracking apps, what happens to all the data? Does it get put in a way that we can use it effectively to improve our lives? Should elderly be made to wear smartwatches? And what about their autonomy? Their autonomy to be free, go where they want to go. If your grandma's wearing a smartwatch and has a smartphone, you could potentially track exactly where she's going all the time. Should elderly people have smartwatches that they can pay at the shop for their newspaper or for their milk or whatever? What's next? You pay for your electric by your watch? I know you can pay for a lot of things by your watch. Personally, I prefer my phone, and it's on your wrist, so I don't know, where do you draw the line? What's next? How far do you go? What's the future for smartphone? Do you think smartwatch, do you think smartwatch will go over to glasses with Google Glasses or Google Lens or I want to say Leapfrog, it's not. Microsoft with their HoloLens, and then there's another one called Leap, another kind combination of like Oculus and Microsoft. Augmented reality, a doctor performing surgery, but in another country. So there's a doctor in America performing surgery on somebody in, I don't know, Cambodia, because of the HoloLens and a good internet connection. How far do things go in the future? Would you have something implanted in you? Like I've said before, there's people now with like a chip implanted into their hand to gain access to their front door and to their computer. So going back to the smartwatch, what would you like it to measure next? And what wouldn't you want it to measure? Because obviously it can track exactly where you've been because of its GPS connections. But what would you not want it to track? I mean, pardon me, but as exercises and tracking exercises and typing in exercise, does your watch know if you're having sex? Does that count as calories, burning calories? I don't know. How far do you go? What about if you're smacking your children? Does that count as burning calories? Come here, you little rascal. Bah. Is that burning calories? Do you want your watch to tell you that? And what happens when the police get hold of this information? Will your phone and your watch tell on you to the police? Next thing you know, the police are knocking on your door. Your phone is your watch has been telling us that you smacked a child because you made this movement, and it picked up sounds and it listened to a child screaming. So your watch could tell on you, not just your location, but what you've been doing. Where do you draw the line? This crazy world, 21st century. If you go to a protest, like maybe in China, well, everybody's monitored, but your watch is on your wrist and it tells the GPS of where you are. If you're in that protest and the police and government don't like it and want to arrest you, is your watch going to tell on you? Is your network provider going to give the information to the government? Will they have a choice? Is there a camera on your watch? Will you be allowed in, say, the swimming pool if you have a watch with a camera on it? Can you go into some sensitive places like the airport if you've got a camera on your watch? Interesting. Would you give a smartwatch to your child? If your child has a medical condition? Yeah, why not? You want to be able to know if your child is in danger. But how much technology do you give to your children? How much autonomy and freedom do your children have? Is it going to get stolen from your child? Will your children start downloading applications that cost you money? So many thoughts and options and questions raised by these smartwatches. You know, there's obviously no legislation or regulation about wearing a smartwatch and where you can wear it. I think most people have to have a camera on their phones. It is helpful for documenting and evidencing things that you've done or things that have happened. And now we know that people can record on a smartwatch. Would you want a camera on your smartwatch? Or other people to have cameras on smart? I don't know how I feel about that. So one of the reasons why I've not bought a new smartwatch after the last one, because I didn't want to get a big thick bezel and big thick screen on my wrist. I want to try and disconnect a little bit from all this technology. Don't get me wrong, I like gadgets as much as the next person, but there's a lot of technology and a lot of data mining that's going to people that are then selling this information to give adverts at you. Well, what do they call it? Target. I mean, that's not a good word. Targeting you, adverts at you for things that you're likely to buy. And this information is being sold. So we're giving it away freely for people to sell it so they can target adverts back at us. And like I say, you're constantly connected then. You can't, like most people put their phone on charge at night, or, you know, often I leave my phone behind. If my wife's got her phone, we don't both need a phone with us. But I don't want all this technology in the bedroom and next to my head, and not because of radio waves and microwaves, but the lights and the buzzing and the knowing of, somebody might ring in the night or whatever. Sometimes it just feels overwhelming and very difficult to reconnect with nature, reconnect with society. You might be in the middle of a deep conversation with the person you care about, and then your watch is buzzing saying, oh, you need to get up and go for a walk, or your buzzes say, oh, you've got a new email from somebody at work. And that really takes away from the connection of the moment you're having with the other person. I think being connected to another person or just with yourself in nature is far more important than filling your lives and your body with technology and gadgets and distractions, constant distractions. So is that what it is? Is a smartwatch just another distraction to keep ourselves occupied and not thinking and reflecting and getting bored? Would I want my children to have a smartwatch? I'd probably prefer if they didn't. Some people are even enjoying dumb phones. D-U-M-B, dumb phones. Phones that are not connected to the internet. They just receive calls and texts. That's it. Maybe you could play a game of Snake on it, if you're old like me, you might remember little games. But it's a little... I'm not a minimalist, but I do aim to have less in my life, less stuff, because it's perpetuating the consumerism and helping lining the pockets of multinational corporations, just buying lots and lots of stuff that's going to end up in a landfill site in 3 years' time. Maybe even this microphone I'm using and the light and the stand made of plastic. Maybe they'll break in 2 years' time. Maybe the battery will run out and it'll just end up in a landfill. And then I'll have to buy it over again. And then the same again. I have noticed, though, a bit of a trend towards repairing yourself. So you've got like the Fairphone. I think the Fairphone 4. Where you can change the screen yourself and they give you the tools. And also now I think in the future they're looking at repairable laptops where you can change the screen, change the battery. Because on this mobile phone I'm recording on, you can't take the battery out. And as far as I'm aware, recently the EU has put in place regulations to state that all mobile phones sold in the European Union will soon have to have, in the next 2 years, will have to have removable batteries. Now, don't just take my word for it. Look into it yourself, do your own research. Like I said, I am not an expert. But imagine being able to change the battery again and keep your phone for longer. My last phone was about 4 years old and it was getting very, very slow. And the battery was only lasting quarter of a day, maybe a half a day tops. So you're compelled to upgrade and buy new, which again helps the consumer market and this consumerism. And this is the same with the watches. The watch you cannot replace the battery in. So will the EU state that the watch will have to have a replaceable battery in the next sort of 4 or 5 years? Why don't we have a replaceable battery? I mean, some watches now, they get their electricity and energy from moving your wrist and just moving altogether. Now that would be sustainable. You can buy those watches now. You can buy a watch that will hopefully last you many, many years, maybe even a decade, because the battery is not needed to be replaced. Would you have a smartwatch then if you could replace the battery and if you could repair it yourself? I don't know. It'd be nice to... Well, I track my steps now on the phone, so that's one way of trying to stay fit. Track it on the phone. I can put my phone down and leave it. It's not constantly trying to engage with me. But a changeable battery would definitely be a step in the right direction, not just for the planet, but in regards to disconnecting from this consumerism, this constantly perpetuating of purchasing. It's almost an alliteration. Perpetuating purchasing. So, what do you think? Would you have a smartwatch? Do you have a smartwatch? Well, are you going to get the Oculus or the Microsoft HoloLens? Would you have something on your face all the time? What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Fitness important to you? Looking after your grandmother or grandfather important to you? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd be interested to find out. All right, that's it for me today. And as always, thanks for listening and have fun. If you don't have fun learning English, you're not going to learn. Take care and see you in the next video. Bye for now.